You have to see this. Not tomorrow, not when it's safe, not when you're ready. Right now. Because what's in front of you isn't just something to look at. It's something that changes everything. People spend their lives walking blind, ignoring the signs, pretending the truth isn't screaming in their faces. But once you see it, really see it, there's no going back. The curtain doesn't close. The illusion doesn't rebuild itself. What's hidden is exposed, and the question becomes, do you have the courage to face it, or will you keep pretending you're still blind? Truth demands to be seen, not ignored. That's the thing people don't want to admit. They love comfort more than clarity. They prefer shadows because shadows don't ask questions. Shadows don't shake the ground beneath your feet. But the truth is loud even when it whispers. It burns holes through your excuses. It claws its way into your mind. And once it gets in, it never leaves. You can try to look away. You can close your eyes. You can drown yourself in noise. But the truth doesn't care. It waits. Patient, merciless, inevitable. And the longer you run from it, the harder it hits when it finally catches you. Most people live their entire lives building little cages to keep the truth out. They decorate them with distractions, stuff them with lies, and convince themselves they're free. But deep down, they feel the rattling. They know something is pressing against the bars, begging to be let in. That's why they fear silence. Why they run to screens, to substances, to anything that drowns out the sound of reality knocking. Because silence makes truth louder. And when truth is loud, the mask starts to crack. The performance begins to fail. Suddenly, the smile feels heavy. The laughter feels hollow, and the reflection in the mirror feels like a stranger staring back. The truth is ruthless in its honesty. It doesn't care about your feelings, your plans, or your comfort. It isn't interested in protecting your illusions. It simply is. And that's why so many avoid it, because it shows them what they don't want to see. It exposes wasted time, false loves, fake friendships, broken promises, rotting dreams. It shows you that maybe the life you've been defending isn't really a life at all, but a carefully constructed performance built on fear of change. That's the wound truth creates. And people would rather limp in lies than bleed their way into freedom. But the strange thing about truth is that it also saves. The cut it makes is the same cut that frees you. Like tearing off a bandage, it hurts, but it lets the wound breathe. Truth breaks chains, truth destroys prisons. Truth wipes away the fog. That's why those who finally face it, those who stop running, those who stare it down with trembling eyes, they find something the liars never will. They find clarity. And clarity is power. Because once you see, you can't unsee. Once you know, you can't unknow. Once you wake up, you can't go back to sleep and believe the dream is real. And that's what makes truth dangerous. It changes you. It pulls you out of the crowd. It separates you from the blind, the numb, the distracted. It forces you to make choices others refuse to make. It demands you stand when it would be easier to kneel. And people hate that. They'll hate you for seeing what they refuse to see. They'll call you crazy. They'll call you wrong. They'll call you dangerous. Not because you are, but because you've exposed the cracks in their carefully built illusions. You remind them of the lies they're still protecting, and nothing terrifies the blind more than someone who sees. Truth doesn't beg to be noticed. It commands it. It screams from the broken places. It echoes in the silence. It shines through every crack in the mask. You can deny it. You can mock it. You can hide from it. But you can never kill it. The truth is immortal, and every day you refuse to see it. It digs deeper, waiting for the moment it will finally shatter everything you thought was safe. The choice isn't whether truth exists. The choice is whether you'll face it now or face it later, when the cost has multiplied and the illusion has already collapsed around you. Once revealed, you can't return to blindness. That's the curse of sight. People think they want answers. They think they want clarity. But the second it's handed to them, their world cracks open. Ignorance is soft. Ignorance is warm. Ignorance is that blanket you curl under to hide from the storm. But once you tear it off, once you actually see the storm for what it is, you can't crawl back under. The illusion doesn't rebuild itself just because you close your eyes. You've crossed a line, and lines like that don't let you retreat. Think about it. When a child learns the fire burns, no one can convince them again that it's safe to play with flames. The knowledge changes them forever. That's what truth does to a soul. It brands you. It etches scars into your mind. Reminders that what you've seen is now part of you. And no matter how badly you wish for the comfort of blindness, it doesn't come back. You can't unburn your hand. You can't unsee betrayal. You can't unhear the scream that woke you up at night. The moment is permanent. The vision, eternal. People beg for revelation, for answers, for signs. But they don't really understand what they're asking for. Because revelation destroys. It tears apart the soft fabric of illusions you've been stitching for years. It forces you to look at the blood behind the smile, the cracks behind the wall, the rot behind the beauty. Once you see it, the smile doesn't look the same. The wall doesn't stand as tall. The beauty doesn't shine as bright. It's forever tainted by what you now know. That's why people cling to denial so desperately. It's not stupidity. It's survival. They know that the moment they look, really look, they'll never be able to go back. Blindness has its perks. You can pretend the world is kind, that people are honest, that life is fair. It makes the pain softer, the nights quieter, the weight easier to bear. But blindness is fragile. One crack in the glass, one glimpse through the curtain, and the whole illusion crumbles. And once it does, you're left in a wasteland where comfort no longer exists. You see betrayal in every handshake, danger in every shadow, lies in every promise. It doesn't mean you're paranoid. It means you've woken up, and wakefulness is not a gift. It's a burden. The worst part is, no one tells you how lonely sight is. When you see what others refuse to, you're isolated. You speak and they laugh. You warn and they ignore. You scream and they cover their ears because they don't want your vision. They'd rather stay blind, trapped in their soft cocoon of ignorance. So you carry the weight alone. You watch them stumble into traps you already see. You watch them play games you know are rigged. And no matter how loudly you shout, they don't listen, because seeing requires sacrifice, and most are too afraid to pay it. But the cruelest part of sight is this: you can't save yourself from it. Once the curtain is pulled, your mind doesn't close. It replays, it re-examines, it obsesses. You can walk away from the stage, but the show is burned into your skull. And you realize ignorance wasn't weakness. It was a shield you no longer have. So now you stand exposed, raw, awake in a world where nothing is simple anymore. And yet, in that pain, there is a strange kind of freedom. Because blindness may comfort, but it also chains. It locks you in patterns, it traps you in illusions. It makes you dance to someone else's tune. But sight cuts the strings. Once you see, you may be burdened, you may be haunted, but you are no longer controlled. The cage is gone. The dream is over. The lie is dead. You can't go back. And maybe that's exactly the point. Most people fear vision more than darkness. Strange, isn't it? You'd think the dark would be the terrifying part. The unknown, the unseen, the mystery crawling just beyond the edge of your reach. But no, the real fear begins when the lights turn on, when the shadows scatter, when suddenly everything is clear. Because clarity doesn't let you hide. It doesn't let you pretend. Once you see, you have no excuse, and that's far scarier than stumbling blind. Darkness is safe because it's vague. You can fill it with whatever lies keep you calm. You can pretend the monster isn't real, that the danger isn't close, that the betrayal isn't brewing. In the dark, your imagination becomes your shield. But vision strips that shield away. It exposes the monster for what it is, shows the danger right in front of you, drags betrayal into the light. Vision makes you confront the reality you've been running from. And people hate that more than anything. They'd rather whisper in the dark than scream in the light. Think about it. How many people avoid mirrors? Not because they're afraid of ghosts, but because they're afraid of themselves. They don't want to see the tired eyes, the broken dreams, the weight of choices painted across their faces. They'd rather stay blind to their own decay. Or look at society. Most people know the world is corrupt, poisoned, twisted. But they'd rather bury their heads, live in denial, drown in distractions, because seeing it all clearly would demand something from them. Action, change, responsibility. Vision isn't free. It charges you everything, and that's the trick. Darkness doesn't ask anything of you. It lets you drift, numb, passive. You can float in ignorance forever, never questioning, never confronting, never fighting. But the second you open your eyes, you're trapped with awareness. You see what's broken. You see who's lying. You see what's dying. And once you see it, you can't act like you don't. Vision forces choice, and choice terrifies people. Because if they admit they see the chains, they can no longer pretend they're free. If they admit they see the fire, they can't stand still and call themselves innocent when it burns them alive. People always claim they want truth. They chant for transparency, for revelation, for wisdom. But when truth is shown, when the curtain falls, most of them turn away. They beg for the lights to go off, for the dream to continue, for the shadows to return. Because it's easier to walk in circles in the dark than to stare at the straight, narrow path the light reveals. Vision is too sharp, too cutting, too demanding. It takes away the comfort of lies, and lies are what keep most people breathing. But here's the irony. Vision is the very thing that could save them. They run from it like it's death, but it's the blindness that kills. They'd rather be comfortable in chains than uncomfortable in freedom. They'd rather rot in darkness than bleed in the light. That's how twisted it is. And yet, when someone truly embraces vision, when they finally stop fearing it, something changes. Their fear transforms into power, because the light that once blinded them now guides them. The truth that once shattered them now arms them. The reality that once suffocated them now sets them on fire. Fear of vision is natural. It means you understand the cost. But surrendering to that fear, that's the real death. Because you can't fight what you refuse to see. You can't change what you won't face. You can't escape what you deny exists. Vision may cut you open, but it also stitches you back stronger. Darkness may soothe you, but it leaves you fragile, unprepared, weak. That's why most people are comfortable drowning. They're terrified of learning how to breathe air again. And so they close their eyes, curse the light, and call the darkness home, never realizing it's the vision they've always needed most. Seeing clearly forces uncomfortable choices. That's why people would rather stay blind, because blindness doesn't demand a response. You can walk around pretending everything is fine when you don't know what's broken. You can smile when you don't see the cracks. But the moment your eyes open, you're forced into a corner. You either act or you betray yourself. And betrayal of the self is the most painful kind, because deep down, you always know you looked truth in the face and chose to run. Clarity strips away excuses. Before, you could say you didn't know. You could hide behind ignorance, behind naivety, behind the fog. But once it clears, you can't lie to yourself anymore. You see exactly what's wrong, exactly what needs to change, exactly who you can no longer trust. And that sight doesn't let you off the hook. It points a finger at you and asks, "So what now?" And most people crumble under that question, because to act takes courage, sacrifice, discomfort, and most aren't willing to pay that price. Think of someone trapped in a toxic relationship. When they're blind to the manipulation, they can excuse it. They can say, "Maybe it's my fault. Maybe it's not so bad. Maybe they'll change." The fog protects them. But the day their eyes truly open, when they see the abuse for what it is, when they see the game being played, suddenly excuses can't stand anymore. They either leave, or they stay knowing they've chosen their own prison. Clarity doesn't give them safety. It gives them responsibility. And responsibility is heavy. That's the curse of seeing. You're no longer innocent. You can't hide behind, "I didn't know." Once you know you are accountable, every step you take after vision becomes a decision. Every silence becomes agreement. Every delay becomes surrender. And people hate that weight. That's why so many go back to pretending. They force their eyes shut, drown themselves in noise, convince themselves they never saw it clearly at all. Because clarity isn't just a gift, it's a demand. And yet, the irony is that those uncomfortable choices are the very path to freedom. Because comfort in blindness is temporary. The danger you refuse to see doesn't vanish just because you close your eyes. The fire still burns even if you pretend it's not there. The lies still rot even if you call them truth. Clarity may force you into painful choices, but those choices are the bridge out of destruction. The ones who act, who rip themselves out of comfort, who make the cuts no one else dares. They're the ones who live. The ones who stay blind eventually choke on the very illusions they cherished. People always say, "If only I knew, I'd have done better." No, most of them wouldn't, because knowledge alone doesn't change you. It exposes you. It shows what you're made of, what you fear, what you worship. Seeing clearly separates the talkers from the doers. It's the dividing line between those who change the world and those who remain its victims. Because the truth doesn't give you power automatically. It gives you the opportunity to choose power. And most people throw it away because the cost is too high. Every revolution, every transformation, every rebirth started with someone who saw too much to ignore. Someone who looked at the broken system, the decaying life, the empty soul, and decided to move when everyone else stayed seated. They weren't more comfortable. They were more tormented by clarity. They couldn't rest while seeing the truth. That torment became their fuel. And that's why vision is dangerous. It makes you restless. It pushes you out of the crowd, out of the sleep, out of the lie. You can't unknow what you've seen. So you either destroy yourself denying it or rebuild yourself embracing it. And that's where most people fail. They think seeing clearly will make life easier, that it will give them peace. No, it gives you responsibility. And responsibility drags you to crossroads every single day. Act or ignore, rise or stay down, speak or stay silent. Every choice carves you into who you really are. And the truth is, most don't fear the vision itself. They fear the mirror it forces them to look into. The one that shows them their own cowardice when they refuse to move. Time, that little ticking shadow everyone tries to outrun, but nobody ever does. You measure it with clocks, calendars, alarms, as if keeping track of it somehow gives you control. But it's not yours to own. It's never been yours. It slips through your fingers while you're busy convincing yourself you have plenty left. People say, "I'll do it tomorrow," as if tomorrow signed a contract promising it will arrive. They act like they have an endless line of chances waiting for them. But time isn't a friend, it isn't patient, it isn't forgiving. It's a knife carving pieces off you every second, and you don't even notice until you're half gone. Look at how most live. They sit there, wasting hours scrolling, watching, complaining, waiting. Waiting for what? for the perfect moment. As if there's going to be some grand announcement. Now is your time. No, the clock never stops to give you permission. It just keeps moving. You're either moving with it or falling behind. And once you fall too far behind, you never catch up. And yet people laugh. They joke. They act like they have all the time in the world. Until one day they wake up and realize the world has taken all the time from them. The cruel part about time is how quiet it is. It doesn't roar, it doesn't scream, it doesn't even knock on your door. It just moves. Soft, subtle, invisible. You don't feel it stealing from you until it's already stolen too much. Like a thief who never makes a sound. Only leaves you empty when you finally notice what's missing. That's why so many live in regret. Because by the time they see the cost, by the time they feel the weight of wasted hours, it's too late to buy them back. Regret is the echo of all the chances you ignored, all the minutes you squandered thinking you had more. People love to say, time heals. No, it doesn't heal, it erases. It takes memories, faces, opportunities, energy. It leaves you numb, not because you've healed, but because it's stolen enough from you that you can't feel the same anymore. Healing is what you do with time, not what time does to you. And if you spend it running from pain, hiding from work, waiting for luck, then time doesn't heal you. It buries you. Every second is an investment, whether you like it or not. You're either investing in growth or in decay, in purpose or in nothing. People think wasting time is harmless. They don't see that every wasted second is a deal you've made, trading a piece of your life for nothing in return. And once the deal is done, there's no refund, no reversal, no negotiation. Time doesn't care if you regret it later. It doesn't stop to let you fix your mistakes. It just keeps walking, dragging you closer to the end, whether you're ready or not. Think about how quickly everything changes. One day you're young, untouchable, immortal in your own mind. Blink, and the years vanish, the energy fades, the fire dies. Blink again, and you're looking back instead of forward. That's the cruelest trick of all. By the time you finally understand the value of time, most of it is already gone. That's why the desperate cling to what little they have left, begging for one more year, one more day, one more chance. But the clock never bargains. It just ticks. The irony is that the very thing people treat as infinite is the most finite thing they'll ever have. Money, fame, power, those can be rebuilt, regained, rediscovered. But time, once it's gone, it's a corpse you can't resurrect. People chase everything else while ignoring the only currency that truly matters. They'd trade their time for money, for comfort, for distractions, never realizing money can't buy back a single lost second. By the end, everyone would pay everything they have for just a little more time. But by then the store is closed, the lights are off, and the clock has already stopped. So you keep pretending you have plenty left. Keep playing games with the minutes slipping through your hands. But every tick is a warning. Every breath a reminder that you're not eternal, you're not in control, you're not guaranteed another tomorrow. The trap isn't that time runs out. The trap is that you think it won't.